My motion is to execute and implement what was agreed upon yesterday. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we take our oath.
Senator,
I make of record the time. It's 4:31 p.m. Mr. President.
Senator De La Rosa.
Yeah, Mr. President, it was very clear yesterday that we agreed that before I take my oath as member of the impeachment court, I should have delivered my privileged speech. That's why I made it a precondition to my approval or to my agreement to the motions yesterday that I'm willing to take oath as a member of the impeachment court, provided let me first deliver my privileged speech. And very clear, it was agreed by the minority
No,
leader
no,
yesterday.
Mr. President. No. It was stressed the convening of the court. That was the issue. And
So
the
I
agreement-
restate my motion, Mr. President, to momentarily suspend any action, whether interpellation or seconding speech, on the privileged speech of the good gentleman from Davao, para sa wakas bigyang daan yung inaprubahan nating motion kahapon na manumpa na po kaming I still
Point
have
of
the floor.
order.
I have the floor, Mr.
Point of
President.
order.
I have the floor, Mr. President,
A point
to
of
make
order,
way
Mr. President.
for
Session-
taking of the
session
oath
is
before the
suspended.
presiding officer.
Enzorecto, kalaban ang katiwalian at kasinungalingan, kakampi sa katotohanan at kabutihan.
Before recognizing the Honorable De La Rosa, Senator Pimentel is raising his hand. What is the pleasure of the Honorable Pimentel?
Shouldn't we, in good faith, implement the approved motion from yesterday, Mr. President? That at 4 o'clock, we should be taking our oath as senator judges. And then we'll give way to the privileged speech, Mr. President. So that was the motion approved by the body yesterday.
Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President, we will be honoring that what was agreed upon yesterday, but this is a personal collective privilege, and any member of this August body can just stand up and avail of this collective of this privilege hour, Mr. President.
No, I don't think so, Mr. President. This is a privileged speech. This is a privileged speech. This is not a privileged motion. So my motion is to execute and implement what was agreed upon yesterday. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we take our oath.
Senator,
I make of record the time. It's 4:31 p.m. Mr. President.
Senator De La Rosa.
Yeah, Mr. President, it was very clear yesterday that we agreed that before I take my oath as member of the impeachment court, I should have delivered my privileged speech. That's why I made it a precondition to my approval or to my agreement to the motions yesterday that I'm willing to take oath as a member of the impeachment court, provided let me first deliver my privileged speech. And very clear, it was agreed by the minority leader
No,
yesterday.
Mr. President. No. It was stressed the convening of the court. That was the issue. And the agreement natin, the oath taking is not the convening of the court. It was very clear, Mr. President.
Several members are raising their hands. May I first acknowledge our Majority Floor Leader, Senator Tolentino. Thereafter, our Deputy Minority Floor Leader, Senator Ontiveros.
Mr. President,
Senator Tolentino may proceed.
with the permission of the gentleman. Mr. President, let me remind the gentleman that yesterday this representation moved to expunge from the records the word agreement, precisely because this representation would want that all matter that arose yesterday should be expressed stipulations coming from the mandate of the Constitution. Yung agreement po siguro inalis na natin to reflect the solemnness of the proceedings yesterday. So Kung ano po yun na pag-usapan, Mr. President, siguro yung dalawang ginoo na lamang muli ang magkasundo, pero the record should not reflect the word agreement. Iyon po lang yung sinasabi ko, Mr. President. Maraming salamat po.
Mr.
Noted.
President,
Senator,
this
prior
is
to
this is important because it's related. So, what I'm asking
Senator
to be
Pimentel, you may proceed.
What I'm asking to be enforced is the motion approved already, Mr. President. So we had approved by the plenary. A motion was approved by the plenary. So yun lang.
Senator Ontiveros is recognized.
I second the motion of the minority leader, Mr. President. The motion to implement the approved motion. Napakahirap naman po magpatupad ng ganyang kasimple. Mr. President, under Section 3 of our Rules of Procedure on Impeachment Trials, the presiding officer shall administer the prescribed oath or affirmation to the members of the Senate then present and to the other members as they shall appear, whose duty it shall be to take the same. So yung pagka wala po o yung hindi pa po pagkasumpa ng ibang mga senador, hindi naman po hadlang sa mga present ngayon at manunumpa ngayon para magsimulang tuparin yung tungkulin namin bilang miyembro ng impeachment court. Kung nais po ng good gentleman from Davao mag-deliver ng privilege speech ngayon, maari namang pong ituloy na po yung pagpapatupad ng agreed motion kahapon, manumpa kaming lahat na iba sa inyo bilang presiding officer, and then pakinggan po natin ang privilege speech ng good gentleman from Davao at pagkatapos kung nais niya, ay pwedeng manumpa na ayon dito sa ating rules of impeachment, Mr. President. So
Mr.
sinusugundahan ko po yung motion ng minority leader na gawin na po natin yung approved motion kahapon. Salamat po, Mr. President.
Chair would like to make some remarks before acknowledging Senator De La Rosa. There was a prior motion made by the majority floor leader. There is no motion to second as of yet because we first have to dispose of the first motion made by the majority leader with respect to the recognition of Senator Bato. But we note the manifest. We will consider and take note of the remarks of Senator Ontiveros as a manifestation for the meantime. Now, the movant is here. The person who made the motion yesterday. Perhaps when I suspend session, you can discuss it. But for the record, there is no attempt whatsoever, and kindly, I hope people will refrain from making insinuations that there is an intent not to proceed with what was agreed upon yesterday simply because of the time. Because I was here at 4 p.m. and I waited until we had enough numbers for a quorum. And we will proceed as scheduled with respect to that. So whether Senator Bato, as will be discussed when we suspend, will speak first, or we will do what is being suggested by the minority floor leader. In either case, both will be done today. So before I recognize the movant, Chair will suspend the session so that you can discuss. Session is suspended. The Chair recognized Senator Bongo to deliver a seconding speech to the motion he made at the end of his privilege speech. The Chair has not yet acted on that motion and has not yet recognized Senator Go. And before the Chair declared a short suspension, 2 members raised their hand to be acknowledged and be heard, and the Chair intends to listen to them first before acting on the pending motion. Senator Ontiveros first, and then Senator Villanueva. You may proceed, ma'am.
Maraming salamat po, Mr. President. Immediately after the speech of the good gentleman from Davao, I move that any interpellation or any action, any seconding speech on the privilege speech be suspended momentarily after his speech to allow us to take our oath, which was the subject of the approved motion yesterday, and again, the subject which was the subject of the approved motion yesterday, which is an offshoot of a question of privilege, which takes precedence over all motions. So I restate my motion, Mr. President, to momentarily suspend any action, whether interpellation or seconding speech, on the privileged speech of the good gentleman from Davao, para sa wakas bigyang daan yung inaprubahan nating motion kahapon na manumpa na po kaming I still
Point
have
of
the floor.
order.
I have the floor, Mr.
Point of
President.
order.
I have the floor, Mr. President,
A point
to
of
make
order,
way
Mr. President.
for
Session-
taking of the
session
oath
is
before the
suspended.
presiding officer.
What is the point of order of Senator Marcos?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. President. And I'd just like to reiterate that I wasn't being rude, but simply recognizing the fact that the point of order takes precedence over all other motions. Also, that there is in fact a motion already pending on the floor, already acknowledged as well by our majority leader, which requires a vote.
Duly noted, but the chair has not yet acted on the motion and there has been no objection as of yet. We will address the motion of Senator Bato, as the chair said earlier, after we hear from Senator Villanueva now.
With all due respect, Senate President, the Deputy Minority Leader is proposing yet another motion on top of the pending motion.
The chair
That
will
is not allowed.
The chair has not yet acted on that motion and will not yet so act on that motion. And will be making a ruling after we hear from all of those who raised their hands earlier. So, with the indulgence of Senator Marcos, can we hear from Senator Villanueva?
Thank you very
And then
much.
the chair will rule on the pending matters. Before the chair makes a ruling, Senator Bato.
Yes, Mr. President. I just would like to share this august body the basis for my motion. According to Chief Justice Renato Puno in Francisco versus House of Representatives, a number of things can be done before the Senate is convened as an impeachment court. For example, the Senate, which has the primary jurisdiction over the case, can decide the question of whether the one-year ban has been violated or not. Likewise, the Senate can decide whether the complaint on its face has any legal basis.
Mr. President, if I may.
So as not to belabor the point, Chair would like to state the parliamentary status and make a ruling. Again, to reiterate, Senator Bato, after the end of his privileged speech, made a motion, but before the chair could act on that motion, he asked for the recognition of Senator Bato, who wanted to second the motion of Senator Bato at the end of his speech. Before the chair could act on that motion and recognize Senator Bato, Senator Ontiveros and Senator Villanueva signified their intention to speak. Senator Ontiveros made a motion. Made a motion to suspend further consideration of the matter at hand so that we can proceed to take our oaths. And then Senator Marcos raised the point of order that there are too many pending motions on the floor and that we should dispose of them, as correctly pointed out by her. Senator Villanueva objected to the motion of Senator Bato. With the permission of Senator Villanueva, hindi ko po ituturing na objection yung inyong sinabi dahil ayon mismo sa inyo, hindi naman kayo tutol doon sa motion ni Senator Bato, kanya lamang. Gusto nyo at sa paniniwala nyo, pwede lamang ito magawa kapag ka tayo ay isang impeachment court na at hindi bilang isang Senado. Ayon sa authority na kino-quote ni Senator Bato, may opinion, may concurring opinion. Si dating Chief Justice Puno na pwedeng itong gawin ng Senado. Concurring and dissenting opinion siya sa pagkakaalala ko sa Francisco. With the permission of the gentleman on the floor, the chair is of the considered view that and takes well the position of Senator Villanueva. We will act on the motion of Senator Bato, but as an impeachment court. We cannot act on the motion of Senator Bato unless we take our oaths as members of the impeachment court. Therefore, once the impeachment court after we take our oaths and we convene the impeachment court, Senator Bato can reiterate his motion, Senator Go can then second his motion, if at all, and we will proceed to dispose of such motion after we hear from everyone who wants to speak on the matter.
Mr. President, the constitutionally given power and mandate of the Senate to try and decide all cases of impeachment is an immense responsibility that must be exercised in good faith, with sincere intention to fulfill a solemn oath, not with haste, but with careful circumspection, mindful of both the political and legal nature of the exercise. Ang impeachment ay isang proseso na hindi lamang mag-aalis sa pwesto ng isang mataas na opisyal ng pamahalaan. Ito ay isang armas laban sa sinuman na hindi umaayon sa kagustuhan at mga interes ng mga kaaway sa politika. Ito ay apoy na hindi lamang nakapapasok, kundi may kakayahan na tupukin at sunugin hindi lamang ang isang bahay, kundi isang buong komunidad. Mapanganib ang impeachment sa kamay ng mga mapagsamantala. Inilalagay ang impeachment para protektahan ang taong bayan, hindi isakdal at hiyain ang kumakatawan sa kanila. In the 2012 case of Chief Justice Renato C. Corona versus Senate of the Philippines, the Supreme Court declared impeachment, described as the most formidable weapon in the arsenal of democracy, was foreseen as creating divisions, partialities, and enmities, or highlighting pre-existing factions, with the greatest danger that the decision will be regulated more by the comparative strength of parties than by the real demonstrations of innocence or guilt. The House of Representatives, in transmitting the articles of impeachment to the Senate at the last hour and after refusing to act for over 2 months on 3 previously filed complaints pending with the House Secretary General, has instead placed the Senate in a tight and impaired position where any decision, action, or inaction on its part will be put into question. An acquittal, conviction, or even the propriety of proceeding with trial will be hounded not only by legal or constitutional questions, but by accusations of extreme bias, partiality, and lack of sufficient deliberation. Lagi kong sinasabi, Mr. President, hindi ako abogado. Nevertheless, this cannot disqualify me from speaking against possible constitutional blunders. Hindi kailangan maging engineer para masabi ng isang tao na unlivable at hindi ligtas ang isang bahay o building. Alam nyo, alam natin kung kailan matibay at pulido ang pagkakagawa katulad ng isang bahay na bato. Alam din natin kung kailan hindi. When the floor starts to crack, when the walls begin to shift, and when leaks appear where there should be none, there and then, Mr. President, there and then, forthwith, we say, this was not built well. Gayon din sana sa impeachment case na ito. the cracks and holes have begun to show. Alam nating may mga tanong na hindi pa nasasagot, lalo na patungkol sa constitutional soundness ng nasabing impeachment complaint. It is my humble opinion then, Mr. President, that with this knowledge must come swift and intelligent action. Kung gaano natin kabilis i-condemn at ipagiba ang mga strukturang hindi ginawa ng maayos, ganon din dapat tayo kabilis umaksyon kung ang nalalagay sa alanganin ay ang ating konstitusyon. In the spirit of true action, therefore, allow me to end by moving. I respectfully move that in view of its constitutional infirmities and questions on the jurisdiction and authority of the 20th Congress, the verified impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara Zimmerman Duterte be dismissed. Mr. President, since I have still the floor, I would like to call Senator Bongo. Mr. President.
Mr. President, will the good gentleman yield the floor for a few remarks as part of the privilege hour availed by Senator De La Rosa?
Yes, Mr. President. No problem with me. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, I agree with the speech of Senator Bato De La Rosa. Ang gusto nating kalabasan ng paglilitis na ito ay hustisya.
Senator Go, before you proceed, Chair has not yet recognized you. Session is suspended.
You know, as the good Senate President mentioned yesterday, the Senate dismissed the impeachment complaint against Ombudsman Gutierrez after she resigned without convening the impeachment court. Therefore, the Senate, without convening into impeachment court, is not prohibited from dismissing the impeachment case, Mr. President. It's very clear. When you say iba, iba nga kasi nag-resign. Pero still, the capacity or the legality of the action of the Senate not convened as an impeachment court was not questioned. So therefore, considering this case, I think we can do the same, Mr. President.
Chair would like to make a ruling with the permission and indulgence of the gentleman who had the floor earlier. Again, to reiterate the parliamentary status. It is the opinion of Senator Villanueva that we can only act on the motion of Senator Bato if we convene if we constitute ourselves and convene as an impeachment court. It is the opinion of Senator Bato that we can act on the matter sitting as a Senate in plenary. While both are considered, while the chair considers both legal and possible and probable, the chair prefers that we convene as an impeachment court first before we act on the motion of Senator Bato, and after we approve the rules, that will be the first item in the agenda of the court, after being seconded by Senator Go.
Point of clarification.
Yes, Majority Leader.
With the permission of Senator Bato, would that mean, Mr. President, that the motion pending right now would have to be reiterated before the impeachment trial court by the movant, Mr. President?
Yes, that is correct, Your Honor.
And
Given the position of the chair, Senator Bato.
Yeah, with the indulgence of the Senate President.
Yes, please.
May I respectfully request that before the ruling is made, or you have made the ruling already, so I therefore object momentarily your ruling because I have to consult my
Session is
My
suspended.
colleague.
Session is suspended for a minute.
Okay.
Konting patience po from someone na mas madalas makipag-away kaso sa ipagbati ang ating mga kasama. May I propose this? I disagree with Senator Bato in dismissing the case. I agree with him based on former Chief Justice Puno's statement. And naniniwala kasi ako pag jurisdiction, titignan muna natin sa body. Having said that, tama ang ruling ng Senate President that either or, which is better. The only reason I think that better yung impeachment court because we will take an oath of political neutrality. While there's no test for that, konsensya na natin lahat once we take our oath. May I suggest, because I think the konting disagreement between my two brothers, Brother Joel and Brother Robin, is may feeling na hindi natin pinapasalita yung iba. May feeling naman ng minority dahil mas konti sila ay sinusupil ang kanilang karapatan isulong ang isang constitutional duty. May feeling naman yung iba dito sa likod na bakit masusunod yung minority. But I think, Mr. President, when we convene as an impeachment court, am I correct? Senator Bongo and Senator Robin and anyone who wants to speak on the issue of dismissal or any other motion will be able to speak and can move that their statement also be reflected in our session after or tomorrow.
That is correct, Your Honor.
So that they don't have to repeat it twice. Because the problem, Senator Bato is not an attorney but he's talking like an attorney. So Senator Batorni, my humble opinion is mas mabuting mag-oath at doon because the statement of Senator Bongo and Senator... Ako mismo, I wanna argue bakit hindi dismiss. If I argue it here now, then I will have to argue again in the impeachment court. But if we argue it in the impeachment court, then move that it also be in the records of the legislative session, then we have both of best worlds, if it's acceptable to you. Yeah? If it's acceptable to you, Brother Robin. Yeah? And to the minority leader. Thank you, Mr. President.
The point of Senator Cayetano, accepted by the members so mentioned, is well taken. Chair now again reiterates its ruling. The chair will suspend the session until 6 p.m. This evening in order to afford... that is your option, to subscribe to the oath, approve the rules, and dispose of the motion of Senator Bato. So ordered, session is suspended until 6:15. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, please state your name. Solemnly swear that in all things appertaining to the trial of the impeachment of Vice President Sara Zimmerman Duterte, now pending, I will do impartial justice according to the Constitution and the laws of the Philippines. So help me God. You may take your seats.
Bunyog, bunyog, halikan na kasama ka. Bunyog, kapag buklod ay may pag-asa. Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, isa ang pananaw. Sa bagong Pilipinas ang bunyog isisigaw. Bunyog.